Hello, sixth graders. It's Mr. Gardell. It's truly great to be back with you. I truly hope you're doing well and having a fantastic day. Recently, you started your learning of Chapter 9, or the U.S. Dakota War of 1862. Before we get into previewing the chapter and reviewing what you learned recently, it's joke time. You guessed it. All right, here is our joke for the day. Why do bananas have to put on sunscreen before they go to the beach? Why do bananas have to put on sunscreen before they go to the beach? I will give you 5 seconds to think about your response. Your time starts now. All right, your time is up. Again, why do bananas have to put on sunscreen before they go to the beach? Because they peel. Hilarious. I know. You're laughing. All right, so most recently, you watched a video on the introduction to the U.S. Dakota War chapter, read a short little blurb or introduction on the same page where the video was located on, and then completed the vocabulary for this chapter. So the first thing that I want to do is go over the vocabulary so you know what these terms mean. Okay. And again, if you by chance made any mistakes on your definitions, pause the video and change. All right. So again, the vocabulary just looked like this. You needed to define those 6 terms, preferably in your own words, not just simply copying out of the online textbook. And then you needed to use the terms traditional Dakota, government, war in the year 1862 to create one sentence only. And it needed to be about the U.S. Dakota War of 1862. All right, let's start with agency. Agency simply is a U.S. government field office. It's where the government had their offices, okay, where they were stationed. It's called an agency. The traditional Dakota were those who wanted to maintain their culture, and they efforts resisted efforts from the European Americans to live like them. In fact, they did not want to change at all. They wanted to keep their traditions alive. They wanted to stay the way they were. Okay. In other words, they wanted to be like their grandparents. They wanted to be like their great grandparents. They wanted to be like their great great grandparents and so on. They wanted to live like they always had. They didn't want to change because these European Americans were now living in their lands. And so they were just like, no, we're going to stay who we are. The farm Dakota did change. The question that I have for you is, why would some Dakota stay, okay, traditional Dakota? In other words, keeping their ways as they had for many, many, many years. And why would some Dakota change? Okay, why or what would influence them to change to be more like European Americans? And that's what the farm Dakota did. And one thing that they did adopt from the European Americans was farming. In other words, we're going to farm like European Americans do. That way we don't have to leave our land in order to find food. We will just grow it on our land or reservation land. And this individual that you see right here, it's the same person. Okay, this is this individual as a traditional Dakota, and then in time, this person changed to farm Dakota. You can see their hair was cut short, and you can see their clothing attire changed dramatically from what they wore as a traditional Dakota. So those were some additional changes that the farm Dakota had done. Internment camp is simply a place where civilians, prisoners of war, and or political prisoners are held. Right here in this painting, that's Fort Snelling. Below Fort Snelling, there was an internment camp. You can see what it actually really looked like during this time period, the 1860s. Yeah, but why? Who was living there? Who was living in this intern camp, and why were they there? Did they stay there for long, or were they able to leave? You're going to find out as we continue our learning of the U.S. Dakota War. Exile just simply means being forced to leave one's country. And that's exactly what happened. To whom? Again, you're going to find out. Okay. And why? Why would a group of people be forced to leave Minnesota? Why would they be forced to go live somewhere else? Weren't the Dakota here first? Weren't the Ojibwe here also? long before the European Americans? Lastly, reservation. This is the map of present-day Minnesota and the reservation lands that make up the Ojibwe in the northern part of the state and the Dakota in the southern part of the state. So reservation, again, is just simply land set aside or reserved by the U.S. government for use by the Dakota and Ojibwe in Minnesota. And there are reservation lands throughout the United States. Some of you on different trips that you may have taken may have traveled through one of the reservations. I know I did when I was in Florida. All right, so those are the 6 terms. And then again, you just simply needed to create that sentence with those 4 terms. Your HOA teacher should have commented or provided you feedback, not only on your definitions, but your sentence as well. Next, I want to show you I want to show you the painting that is found at the beginning of chapter 9. And specifically, it's on page 9.02. And I'm going to click on it to enlarge it for us. And I just want you to take a look at this painting. It's a scene of a battle during the U.S. Dakota War of 1862. You can probably guess who's on the left. The Dakota, correct? But who's on the right? Who are those people? What are they doing? Why are they fighting or battling against the Dakota? And who caused the war? Or what were the causes of the war? And who started the war? And when did it end? And so all those questions will be answered and more in the upcoming weeks as you continue your learning of the U.S. Dakota War of 1862. What I want you to understand is think about the year 1862. What big war within the U.S. was occurring during the same time period? Yeah, you're correct. The Civil War, the U.S. Civil War. So why would a war occur during the middle of the Civil War when the nation should have been focused on that? We'll find out. All right. So for today, what you're going to focus on is you're going to read the introduction on page 9.03 and naming a war on page 9.03. And then you're going to complete a map of Minnesota, southern Minnesota in 1862 in Schoology. Okay, so make sure you complete that. And then it states below, use pages 9.04 and 9.11 to complete map. And remember to turn into your HOA teacher. And then lastly, complete the map of southern Minnesota in 1862 assessment or exit ticket in Schoology as well. All right, well, let's keep our learning going. Let's keep thinking about why did this war start in the first place? Who started it? How did it end? Did anybody die? All right. 6th graders, it's been my pleasure. Take care and have a fantastic day, as always. Bye now.